Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Today we have Captain Kyle. Well, Captain Kyle is back, everybody. So please, if you have a question for Captain Kyle here on Telegram, feel free to raise your hand, and at some point I will unmute your mic and you can ask your question to Captain. If you have a question over here on X Live or Rumble, write your question down in the comment area, and I will read those to Captain as well at some point in this podcast. Also, too, everybody, please be careful who you listen to, who you follow, what you're putting into your mind. It is a thing. It's just the Wild West out there, everybody. People attacking people and people going by the wayside. People maybe you've followed, you've liked, whatever. Just be careful, everybody. If you're just really confused, you don't know who to follow the Lord above first and foremost, and then, of course, our great president, Donald Trump. So he's over on True Social, and he's really putting it out there, guys. It's not like he's directly telling us, but he is indirectly telling us, giving us crumbs and stuff like that. So he is telling us without telling us. So please follow him if you just don't know who to follow. Also, if you get a random message, whether it be here on Telegram, Instagram, any of my locations where I'm at, Rumble, X, pretending to be me or any of my guests, asking if you're ready for the scare event, any crypto, any financial stuff, please report that individual. Let me know, because these scams, guys, are getting more creative by the day, and I'm just letting you know. I don't deal with that, so if I know about it, I can make sure that they're not here on my channel and I can get them out of there. So please, everybody, report, let me know. That way I can do the same thing. Because I don't see all the stuff that you guys see. I see different things, but you guys might see some stuff that I don't see. And for those of you that are sending it to me, I appreciate it, because this is how we shut those people down, right? The trolls, the scammers, the agitators, the haters, all of that fun stuff. Also, too, everybody, if you come in late to the podcast and you want to listen to the replay or share it with a family and friend, feel free to go follow the podcast on the podcast host, which are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, POCKETCAST, PODBEAN, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny JERREAD Facebook, at Jenny_JERREAD X, at JJERREAD Rumble, at JJERREAD True Social, at JJERREAD Instagram, Revival of America right here on Telegram, and the Revival of America over on YouTube. Also, too, for those of you that are sending me your stories regarding your journey to the Revival of America at yahoo.com, please don't send them there. Send them to the email I've made specific for these stories, because I read them, I vet them, because yes, we have the shysters over there, guys, too, that just want to create a fake story to get on a podcast. But if you're sending them to my personal email, the Revival of America at yahoo.com, they're getting buried or they're getting put into spam. So please, send them to TROA submissions at yahoo.com. That's specific to the stories. I will vet them. If I believe it's a legitimate story, I will reach back out to you via email. We'll get your voice, your story heard on the podcast. Remember, everybody, it's your voice, your story that's going to help shape this new world that we're coming into. Also, if you want to email me, you are welcome to, whether you have a question about Field. Many of you have been reaching out to me about Field McConnell's books. You can reach out to me there, the Revival of America at yahoo.com, or if you want to know information about ageless peptides, brain IQ alternative health supplements, John Baxter. A lot of people want to get that free AI scan that he is offering. It's like a $500 value, but it's free, and it's basically scanning your body, and they can let you know what they see is going on with this AI scan. He's had one, you had it before, but this one's a little bit more upgraded. So please, all of that stuff, put that over to the Revival of America at yahoo.com. And again, I will get to you as soon as I can on those and answer your questions. Also, too, I want to let everybody know regarding Fields, he is doing his healing journey. So once he is ready to come back, he has a home here at the Revival of America, but it is most important that he get his body healed from what his recovery from the surgery, and then also, obviously breaking 7 ribs. That's a lot of ribs for 70. I think he's 78 years old. So yeah, he's got to focus on that first and foremost. So also, too, I would like to have everybody put your prayers up for Kelly, Captain Kyle's assistant. I did see a post go out from one of her mods asking that we keep prayers up for her. So please, keep prayers up for Kelly. Not sure what's going on over there, but I did reach out to her, let her know that I was praying for her and thinking of her, and I hope she gets well soon. Whatever it is she's going through, I don't know, but just keep the prayers up, everybody, because many people need those right now. Let's see what else, guys. Oh, also too, the Revival of America is going into its 6th season, July 17th. So I'm super stoked about that, and I want to say thank you to every single one of you that have been consistent in coming in here, whether it be a part of the live chats or listening to the replay, sharing it with family and friends. I want to thank all of you for being a participant, for being a part of the Revival of America, because without you guys, the Revival of America wouldn't be. And like I said, I'm going into my 6th season, so I've been doing this on my spare time from my day gig. So I just want to say thank you so much for that. And I am going to be doing more collaborations, more things happening with the podcast. So I'm not going to put anything behind a paywall for you guys. You have to pay to listen to stuff. I'm not going to do that, but I might have some more affiliates coming on here, talking maybe about some alternative products. I'm about the all natural, right? Or maybe some subscriptions. I don't know, guys, but it's going to take a little bit more time. And I've been self-funding this for 6 years, and it's always been a goal of mine. Once we came to kind of the climax of this, to turn into a revenue source. So the Revival of America have a whole media company behind it. It has 2 podcasts, has a modeling company, and it's just we're developing it in the behind the scenes while I continue to do this. But as I continue to put more time into it, I'm unfortunately, however you want to look at it, but I've been self-funding this for the past 6 years, and I'm going to have to probably do a little bit of something just so I can continue on and move forward with what is to come, and make sure that the podcast isn't going anywhere, everybody. I mean, we're growing pretty rapidly, so I'm really excited about that. But for me to put more time and do more things with it, I've got to try to get a little bit of a financial backing to it. So just want to let you guys know that. So don't be shocked if you see maybe affiliates coming on, or if I have to read something. I don't even know how that's going to look, a subscription. I don't know, guys, but it's time. It's that time. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but I've been doing this for 6 years out of my own pocket, and with the growth of it, I just I'm going to have to get some kind of I don't know, backing, or I don't know what it is. I don't even know, you guys, because you know me. I've not been about the money. I've not been about the followers. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're following. I'm glad you're listening. But at some point, if I'm going to continue on with it, I gotta do something. So I want to give you that heads up, because I know some people get upset about it, but I don't know what to say. I've been doing it for 6 years, and I've got to do something, just especially with the growth. So with that, everybody, we're going to wait for Captain Kyle to come in. I don't see him. He just texted me and said he would be here shortly. So I don't know what that means. But again, if you have a question for Captain Kyle over here on Telegram, feel free to raise your hand. I will unmute your mic. If you want to, are you here, Captain?
I am here.
Oh my gosh, where are you at? There you are. For some reason, I can't see my guest today. So anyway, how are you?
I am good. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
good to be here. And so whenever you start making money, you can just pay me to show up.
I know, right? I know. Oh my gosh. It's just, I mean, it's, because I have my day gig like you do, and I'm like you, not been about it, but I've always knew that the Revival of America and the media company I'm building behind it was always going to be on the other side of this, a revenue source for people to come in and have a job. And, I've got the kids cast, bring the kids back to do peer-to-peer. They can learn how to do a podcast, learn how the business part of it. So a lot of stuff working on in the background, but with the collaborations and stuff that I'm going to be doing and being asked to do, I think it's that time. And I hate to do that, because I know some people don't like that. But at the end of the day, this is going to be what I'm going to be doing full time at some point. So it just makes sense to turn it into a revenue source. But it hasn't been for 6 years. But I'm gonna have to do something here, just because of the growth of it. So. And you're a part of that. So I'm glad that you're here. It seems like it's been freaking a hot second. I know work for you has been crazy. What's been going on in your world? I did ask the audience to say some prayers for Kelly. I did reach out to her. I did see that she needed I think one of your mods requested some prayer. So I hope she's doing well. Ask the audience to keep the prayers up for Miss Kelly.
Yeah, she's doing better today. I just talked to her a little while ago. She caught something over the weekend, the end of last week. She was with the kids and her grandkids, and they always catch something, and so she ended up catching the little virus and stuff, and every time when she does it really beats her up. So basically I just tell her to take care of herself, put everything on hold as far as I'm concerned, because she's the only thing that matters to me in that aspect. And she's getting better today, and once she gets back on her feet completely, then we'll move back forward. Until then, everything kind of just is paused to a certain degree, and because people matter first, not this other stuff. So,
Amen. Amen. And that's like I was telling the audience with you too, you've been typically here consistent for every other Wednesday, but work comes first. And I know you're getting real busy with work, and I can only foresee, I don't know, with what you're doing, and what you have shared with us, that you might even get busier for what's to come here in the coming days, weeks, months, into the end of the year.
yes. And so there's, certain things that are coming. The next 4 months is going to be really, really hard for people. And this is the time that everyone that has been awake to a certain degree or has woken up early to prepare for themselves emotionally. This is the time, because we are actually entering into the storm, the real storm. And don't get caught, like a chicken with your head cut off, because this is not why God woke you up to go into that crazy town like everybody else. This whole period that we've been in right now has been about bringing a patriotic spirit back to the people and love of country, so that when the things that are about to happen, they're going to be able to have the love of country actually be a focal point. And that's why it's being done. That's why these things must be done, so that we can actually save the country from the corruption that has basically subverted our true sovereignty and freedoms away from each and every one of us. And it is going to be very difficult, and it's going to be probably one of the most difficult periods that you guys have ever experienced. And so it's really important to be grounded and have that knowing that God is in control, and that this must happen in the way that it does, so that we can heal as a nation and as a people and as a civilization moving forward, and never allow any of this to happen again. And it's funny, because the day I did a truck talking specifically about we are not having an election this year, and that a national emergency is going to be authorized, and the military is going to be the ones that take over the control of the streets. It is going to be very chaotic, and the media is going to be exposed, and they're going to have to fall on their sword through this all. And later on that very day, Juan Pepe started saying the exact same thing. And it was really funny that after he said it, everybody actually believed that it was now going to happen. So it's funny that. Huh?
Who did you say started saying that? Pepe?
No, Juan.
Oh, Juan. Yeah. He has been saying it, and he's been showing his face a lot more. We can talk about that too.
So I nicknamed him Juan Pepe.
I love
because
it.
I've had to cover a couple of shows for him that he didn't show up for, that I actually was there and I actually had to cover for him. So now he's my Wano Pepe as far as I'm concerned. So.
Well, don't feel bad, Captain Kyle. It happens to me often with him as well. It happened today, so
And so,
it's all good.
yeah. So, him and I are friends, and I have kind of given him some
Some
ribbon
shit. Yep,
over the
yep.
years, so to speak, over specific things. And, the funny thing is that I've called him out on a lot of the things over the years, knowing what was coming, but he was in a position that he could not talk about them specifically at the time because of the situation that he's actually in and with the people that he does actually run in those circles with. And so it's easy for me to talk about it and then kind of jab him about it and then kind of push him into a corner. And then, a year or two later, basically he confirms the same stuff I was actually ribbing him about a year or two earlier, saying that it was all going to happen that way. But if you listen to him, he's the story guy, and he does it on purpose, and he talks about things through stories, which a lot of people have a hard time, wanting to listen to it, because he talks about 30 minutes to hear one or two different things that you want just kind of given to you, and he's not going to do it. But he says things through the story that give him plausible deniability, and it's always been that way on purpose because of the position that he actually runs in.
I have to agree with you 100% on that one. I agree.
So, but we are at the storm, and we are here, and these things are going to come to a head, and it's going to be biblical. And so I heard something that he said just the other day, or whenever it was, and it's actually posted on my channel actually, and where he said if we were to put this in a level of a category storm, where your hurricanes are like Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 4, and Cat 5, that we're kind of in a Cat 2 moment right now that we're in, but we're going to actually run into a Cat 6 or 7, which don't actually exist. That's beyond the scale.
Right, by the end of the year, right? That's what he's saying.
Yep.
By the end of the year, yep.
And that's an absolute 100%. That's where we're headed. And
So,
I already knew that.
And Captain, it's been, everybody's out there saying Captain Kyle and Juan are saying the same thing about the Cat 2, and then we're coming. It's here. It's coming. Prepare. It's going to be rough. So, and Captain has always said it. So has Juan. You got to mentally prepare you guys yourselves so you can prepare your house, right? So, I think that's first and foremost. And then obviously we got to go back to getting the water, the gas, that kind of stuff. It's not to fearmonger anybody, but I've always told my audience, we've been in a mental boot camp to prepare for this time, and it's now. So yeah, back then we were prepared, get water, get gas, get your money, all this stuff. But guess what? We should all be prepared enough right now that we're going to be ready for what is to come. Some people may not be, but now is the time to start again. Now, don't go buying out all the toilet paper and the hand sanitizer and the wipes. Go get your bottled water, go get your food, that kind of stuff. Because Captain Kyle, and you've said it often, so is Juan, and Donald Trump has always said that, he's doing it this way because he doesn't want to have all the casualties, right? It can't go, okay. So what do you think once we come into this category 6, 7, say by the end of the year, how do you think that looks in terms of timing? Because we know we can't go in that mad of chaos for too long, because then we're going to see those mass casualties, right? So what do you see? How does that look to you?
I don't want to I don't want to say what I see as potential, because by doing that, I actually can create by implanting those in thoughts and visions in people and having them begin to actually envision that very thing as a potential. And when enough people actually begin to focus, put their energies toward, we can actually create that environment for ourselves in particular. Maybe not as in a whole, but in your community or in your actual reality become way worse than it ever was intended to, because of that collective thought and envisioned manifestation. So I don't ever, and I'm not going to actually put forth what I believe potentially is going to happen. But what I will say is that it's going to be more about having to be emotionally stable and emotionally grounded and family focused as collectively on actually getting through the difficult times, more so than it is that, do you have enough gas and do you have enough water, do you have enough supplies, because those things are going to be available to still get. Maybe a little bit of difficulties here and there that we'll go through, but collectively those things are still going to be available. And maybe, like, when we go through a storm or a hurricane or something, you don't have certain essentials for 3 or 4 days, and you can just tough it out. But you know when you do have extras, it just makes going through the difficult times a little bit easier, but it doesn't do squat for the emotional and mental of having to deal with the destructive chaos that can manifest around you. And so being at peace and knowing that everything is going to turn around and be um, absolutely worth everything that we go through within a year or two, completely, you won't recognize or have any doubt that anything that we've gone through for all of these years was not worth it. That's how incredible it's going to be on the other side. But you can envision, the military being on the streets and actually fully operating as a complete law
In order.
um, how do I say this? That they are going to make sure that if anything or anyone are doing things that are a threat to the people or society in whole, they will be dealt with severely and quickly without regard for their stupidity, put it that way. So if you're advised to stay off the streets or to do something specific by the military, they're doing it for a reason, to keep people out of a circumstance that they're dealing with. And if you think that you can just get out there and do something or to help, or you're fucking up is what you're doing. So listen to what's being said, do what you're being told in that aspect, because it is for your benefit. And anyone that is out doing something that should not be there is automatically being assumed to be at a threat situation. So that's not going to last for a long period of time, but long enough that it will be remembered forever.
So basically, everybody, stay out of their way. Many of us have said this through the course of our journey. Don't try to be Captain Save a Ho. Sorry, Save a Hero. Let the military do their what they're there to do. They're going to be, law and order. Everybody, here we go. We're getting back to what it's supposed to be. So thank you, Captain. I appreciate that. I know you. I know. I get what you're saying about putting stuff out there, like manifesting it. I get it. I get it. So. All right. Real quickly, how much time do you have today, my friend? Typically, you give us 90 minutes, but sometimes you give us an hour. What do you got?
So I have an hour. So yeah, I've got some other stuff that I've got going on, and I can't change it. So
No. Hey, listen, I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you being here. So thank you for being here. So we're going to get right into it with some questions, everybody. So we've got a couple hands here on the front side of Telegram. So Joe P, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted.
Thank you, Jenny. Thanks for asking that question, and Captain Cal, just a minute ago, and that was the question I had for Juan earlier. But if
You're
you
welcome.
allow me to give just like a little bit of I don't want to say a monologue, but basic speculation off of what Juan has said for several months, almost a year now, regarding the national declaration. My understanding is piecing a lot of and I don't want to put words in Juan's mouth because be like most people, I just take bits and pieces of things and I kind of start to piece them together, and I may piece them together wrong. It may be an inaccurate portrayal, but he's always mentioned that we were going to deal almost not necessarily simultaneously but almost back to back to back with the COVID situation, along with the Russia hoax would be first. The COVID piece would kind of intertwine with the election scandal, the 2020 election theft that they perpetrated on all of us, along with the 72 other countries out there for which they have the eyewitnesses, the actual people that stole the election in custody, scattered around the country. We go through a series of events. So the escalation, I'm assuming, in not necessarily collaboration, but alongside and in a consortium of events with what's happening in Iran. Those series escalate. He said he's mentioned we're in a level 2 type storm currently, and that it will escalate to a 6 or 7, which I've lived through a category 5 hurricane, so I do know the limitations on those, but those are absolutely gripping. I mean, I held a front door for an hour and 45 minutes trying to survive that particular storm back in 2018, but I felt like I was going to die. I actually felt like I was going to probably go on to the other side, and whatever happened was, but I was going to stand there and try and hold that front door with my brother and father at the same time. And that category 5 was gripping, as Juan has referenced. That this phase we're going to go through is gripping. So it seems like an escalation of one event kind of after another, almost a cascading event, moving into what's to be an election or attempted election where there is no real solution or real remedy to a corrupt government that doesn't allow for honest elections. If we don't have the SAVE Act, which I don't think that even really begins to create honest elections, even if Congress were to pass that SAVE Act. But a cascade of events of the 2016, 17 ongoing Russia collusion, the COVID, the election, you can kind of sense the things to escalate. And then, where we're at with the yen in relation to the dollar, the reverse carry trade, the bonds scattered throughout the country. Juan had the Bondgate situation where he gave a lot of information, provided a lot of information regarding all the school bonds that are out there scattered across the country. And then maybe you move into that financial crisis moment of it, and then there's he's also mentioned a moment.
Joe, real quick, just because Captain's he's only got an hour, he said today. So, can we get Captain to maybe answer one of these at a time? Are they kind of all coming up to the one same question, or do we need to break them up?
Yeah, no, let me catch it off. So a cascade of events where the final event, in my opinion, would probably be a financial crisis, in that when we get to that 6 or 7, do all of those things cascade into that final event of a financial crisis, in your opinion, Captain? Is it a holy crap, the market's tanking and watch out? Kind of what does that 6 and 7 look like along with the rest, et cetera? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, that's a good analogy, but that's only a part of the overall destruction, so to speak. But what is actually more concerning and will come out, and it is a cascading of dominoes, but we have those things in which you mentioned, but we also have on top of that the countries that are actually going to collapse because of the actual corruption that is going to be exposed within all of this, which is also a part of the actual Epstein files that are still not actually been released. They are actually out there. They do have them. And these are the actual things that are going to bring nations down. And the overall collapse of absolutely everything is going to be that kind of near death experience for society, not just here in America, but globally. It's going to be something that is greater than you can even imagine. That's why when you have experienced a Cat 5, there is no such thing as a Cat 6 or 7. Doesn't exist, because it has never happened before. And so when he's speaking of a 6 or maybe a 7, that isn't even within your ability to wrap your head around it. That's why it's so important to understand that it's all gamed out. It's all pretty much done on how it's going to happen. We just have to go through it and to get to the other side. And we will. But you know as well as I do, whenever you're in that kind of storm, it's like the only thing you can think of is, just like you said, am I going to make it to morning? And it is so powerfully incredible. It's like, is this ever going to stop? And it don't. But this will, just as those storms always stop. And the level of destruction that's on the backside of it is devastating. But in this aspect, it's necessary to get rid of and to clean up all of this corruption simultaneously around the world. And the military is actually prepared and staging for all of this to happen. And so a lot of this stuff that's been being airlifted over into Europe, and everything is supposedly for the Iran situation, it is not. It is for the preparing of what is about to come.
Got it.
Thank you, Joe. And
Thank you. Sorry about that, Jenny. I apologize for going so long-winded.
oh, no, you're good. Normally, not a big deal, but he's a little bit on a time constraint today. So I appreciate you, Joe. Thank you.
And I mean, that's a really good question, because it answers a
Yeah.
lot of people's, ideas of how this is going to go down. And in all reality, we don't know the actual order in which they're going to kind of release and start these dominoes. But once the dominoes start, it's not going to stop until it's over.
And to the point when they're talking about, the financial, everybody, I posted something today regarding J.D. Vance and his speech today and talking about the fraud, right? And you have Donald Trump, alluding to it as well. So that kind of sets up what Captain Kyle and Joe, they were just talking about. So like I said, pay attention to Donald Trump, because like he's telling us without directly telling us. So thank you, Joe. Thank you, Captain Kyle. All right, let's go to Miss Cal. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, I just want to see if you can elaborate on what Trump said today when he was speaking and talked about he's number one as president on the, assassination list. And with him not going home on the plane that he was supposedly going home, we've seen so many things on Telegram that said that Donald Trump is going to have to exit. Is the military going to remove him publicly first somehow before they do what they do? Are we going to see an assassination attempt on him?
Well, there's been a lot more assassination attempts on President Trump than anyone has any idea. And Donald Trump is actually in secured location, and he's had no threat at any given time, period. But what's kind of taking place right now is like the card game or the ball and cup. Try to find which one I'm doing, look at the right hand and not know what the left hand is doing. And that is all intentional by, if everyone is questioning where he may be or what he's actually doing or what's actually going on, the enemy and the individuals that are being targeted right now specifically are panicked beyond your recognition. And usually people make huge mistakes when they are in that situation.
Yeah, agreed. Did I answer your question, Cal? Are you there, Cal? Hello? All right, thank you, Captain. Go ahead, Janet. Your mic is unmuted.
Okay. Hi, Captain Kyle. I have a question about the stock market. You were kind of answering some stuff with Joe P, but he talks about it almost daily now about the stock market, reaching its highest point. And we heard about the children's, investment accounts for $1,000 each. Are we going to go to a different kind of a stock market? We know Wall Street is, corrupt and it's bad. I took my money out because I didn't want the cabal to have my money. So we know that. Is it going to be individual states that are going to be having their own kind of stock market so that the children could be, that $1,000 investment? We can't put all that money in that investment and then they take the Wall Street, take the stock market away. Is my question make sense? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, so the actual stock market is going to change. It's going to go to what's called the people's market, and it's not going to be something that is controlled by speculation like the corruptibility of the stock market is today, where it's not a open, free, and market-driven stock market. It's basically controlled and manipulated and has always been. But the new market will be actually based upon the quantum and blockchain theory and will be unable to be manipulated in that aspect and will actually be valued at a true value, just like where gold and silver has always been suppressed and nowhere close to the actual real value of what it should be. The stock market is the same thing, but in the opposite direction. It's overvalued and overvalued in a way that doesn't make individuals money, but it makes the people that are manipulating it all the money. And so the monies that are out there and that are going into these investment accounts and investment funds, so to speak, and people's 401ks, even though that the stock market could crash and go to nothing, those accounts are all protected and have always been protected, because that is something that Trump basically in his first term said, that people's 401ks were always going to be protected, and they are all going to be. So people that are, that are investing in the stock market with their own personal money for their own gains, that's a different situation. It's a risk in that aspect. So, but people that have their monies in the stock market with 401ks and other investment funds, those are being managed majority by fund managers, which those are the ones that have been a part of the corruption and the corruptibility within the market itself. And so to take those people down, they, meaning the white hats, were never going to crush people's savings and their incomes based upon taking out that corrupt system. It will be replaced, and the monies that were within those protected accounts, because they are protected and being monitored through the quantum system right now, every penny that is ever moved anywhere is being tracked through that, and has been since about 2022. 2021 is when it first started coming online, and that's when you had a lot of the banks start getting busted for money laundering and fraud, like SBC and Deutsche Bank and all these other major tier 1 banks, Credit Suisse. They have never ever been busted like they have been in the last 3 or 4 years, and that's because of the system that was tracking them. Excuse me. And so whenever the new markets come on, which is going to be the people's market, it's going to be put back in place, but with an actual monetary system that is actually of value, and not this fiat paper, which is only worth right now about 7 cents per dollar. Whenever we go back to the actual monetary system, when this is all over with, a dollar will be an actual dollar in its value. And so even if it was, like you say, it was $100,000, but now you have, say, 45,000 actual real dollars, well, that right there in value is way more than the 100 that you initially had, that was really only worth $6,000 or $7,000 in buying power, because of this fraudulent inflation that we've gone through since about 1955. So when we've heard in the past that we're going to eventually go back to prices of the 1950s, where a house was actually $7,000-$8,000, and you could buy a Corvette for a 1955 Corvette for $3,200.
So then real quick, so does the stock market crash completely before we go to everybody's individual accounts, or everything just moves on over? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure if it crashes or if it just they shut it down. I don't know how they're going to deal with the fact that it's the monetary system that we're operating in today has to actually go away completely.
Okay,
And that's what they're pushing us towards.
So here's something for
crash.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Here's something for you from Dr. James Joyce over here on Twitter. He's saying that the people's market will be based upon assets as opposed to claims. and he's letting everybody know he worked for Deutsche Bank in the 90s. DB was bulletproof back then, not so much now. Does that make sense to you, Janet and Captain?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
know. I know how it's
everything
going to work.
everything he said now actually put me into a completely different mindset about this. That was amazing explanation because it really put me in a different mindset about the stock market. So thank you.
Yeah, Captain's pretty good about that. Thank you, Captain. He did a great job. I was like, damn. Good job, Captain. Okay, so we're going to go over here to Telegram. We've got a couple questions over here for you, Captain, on Telegram. We've got one from Kelly Heatwool. It says, do you believe that when the events begin to escalate, that travel will be restricted? And if so, what kind of time frame for that?
Yeah, it will be actually restricted. But it won't. So that's going to be an escalation of restrictions. Oh, more so than right at first, right? It's like everything's not going to just go off the rails all at one time or kind of trapped wherever they're at, so to speak. It's going to be an escalation of events. And during that escalation, people are going to be advised on what they should and shouldn't be doing. Kind of like you should be home, you shouldn't be traveling, you should stay away from this country, those kinds of, State Department travel advice.
Thank you, Captain. Here's one from Laura on Telegram. I am selling my house and closing at the end of the month. I am not buying another place right now. Where is the safest place to keep that money? I know things are supposed to mirror in the new system whenever that occurs, but that's not what everyone is saying, which is why I ask.
Really depends on how much it is, and in my opinion, personal opinion, and this is not financial advice by no means. If you don't have the ability to put that in like silver or gold, actual, but how are you going to store it? Because you don't necessarily have a place to be able to store, 250 grand or $300,000 worth of, gold or whatever, and be safe, so to speak. And so I would say that the next safest place to keep large amounts of actual money is in a credit union, and one that's actually established and has been around, because the credit union isn't based on how the financial banks, the tier one banks are. Their function is going forward to operate as a partnership with the communities in which they serve, the people. That's why whenever you get a membership, you're a member of the bank. And even if you were to open a commercial account, it's under your membership as an individual to start with. It's completely opposite of like a regular bank, like, Bank of America or Wells Fargo. Those are tier one banks, and you can go in without a personal account and open up a commercial account for a business and stuff, because that's what they're actually designed to do. We as individual people were never supposed to be in the system of operating in a tier one commercial bank. They're commercial banks. That's what they are. And the banks are going to be, because of the way it's been set up through the Treasury and through Basel II and Basel III, that these banks will be secured on their assets to $250,000 per account. Okay. So if you have, say, 500 grand because you sold your house, then I would actually put the 200, this is me personally, I'm just speaking personally, that I would put 250 grand up to the max on the FDIC insured. FDIC does not have the money to cover it. That's not what's going to be covering it. Okay. It's actually the Treasury in the next asset in the next after this is all over with. And so I would actually have part of it in one actual bank, and then I would have the other half of it in another credit union, to where both of them stay below the actual insurable amount and that both of them are protected. Even if during the shit storm and everything else, it looks like I lost everything, when everything does come back and actually is reestablished, you would have lost nothing in that asset.
Captain. All right, so here's one over here on Rumble, and this one is from, let's see, M. Keaton, 27. Will kids be going back to school, or will the new school system be coming soon?
So the schools will actually start back up and actually begin, but will there be a suspension in schools? I would say the probability of that is more probable than not during the height of the turmoil, because we are going to be on a declared martial law. And under that circumstance, everything is not going to be operating as it is right now. So essential work, non-essential are going to be limited. It's not going to be easy getting through. It's going to be a difficult time. And that's why I said that it's more important right now to put your focus on establishing a peaceful and healthy environment within your home and your family, and not put any focus on past bullshit or anything else that has to do with, what your disagreements were, because that really doesn't matter in the long run. And what does is the cohesion of the strength of the family going forward and being there for one another.
Captain, okay, so let's go back to, you were talking about the essential work and the non-essential work. So we know back during C-19, they had those essential and non-essentials, and the non-essentials obviously were closed down, but they were the essential ones that stayed open. So are we seeing kind of the same thing that's going to transpire, those same essential workers, workplaces stay open, or are we going to see them probably close down as if they're not essential?
So we're going to see a lot of that for, I would say, probably maybe a month or two.
Okay, so you foresee a lot of this, what's coming, the category 6, 7, and this being part of it when it comes to the workforce.
Well, all right, let's just put it in a perspective. If you had a Cat 5 hurricane come through your state, there ain't going to be a whole lot of work being done because
Correct.
All right, so and until things and infrastructure gets put back together and back online, that's the focus for that period of time, is just getting through it. So let's keep our perspective correct here.
Okay, let's see. Here's another one from, let's see, Bliss Fluey. Captain, do you see any relief for seniors soon? I have a couple of seniors living on about $1,200 a month, really hard.
I don't know. I would hope that there is, but something I just can't speak to. I don't know. Right at the moment. I know in the very near future, yes, but I don't know how soon that's coming.
Okay, all right. Nora Reynolds, your mic is unmuted over here on the front side of Telegram. Go ahead. Your mic is unmuted.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. So in light of all this information regarding the storm escalation over the next 4 months or so, Should we assume the highly anticipated revalue of currencies will not be taking place before this is all over?
I don't I don't know the timing on when that's going to happen. It's going to happen within it, but
Oh, okay.
it may be towards the latter part of it as a recovery part. I don't know exactly, and no one else does either on purpose.
Right. Okay. Thank you
But
very much.
but if you look at the things and the way things are being orchestrated right now, all of those preparations for that is actually taking place. And it's kind of like this: when your treasury secretary tells you to go into your taxes and put on and change your dependents so that you can keep your money,
That's right.
that ain't never happened in the world.
Mm-mm.
So is that going to all change? Yes. Will it change before tax time next year? Absolutely. Or they would have not told you to do that, because that would put all these people in a bind really bad, right? So
Right.
they're wanting you to be able to have as much right now preparing for what we are going to endure versus knowing that everything's going to be changed by then.
Okay. All right. That's some hope. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Norma. All right, let's see. We got Patriot Guy 17 over here on a Rumble. Will all contracts done under the British Vatican Maritime legalized language be considered null and void once the new Republic for America is announced? Those contracts should be considered fraudulent. Agreed. Go ahead, Captain.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But how they go about actually, reestablishing all of that understanding, I'm not really sure. But that's something that's been being worked on for years, and also with working with Robert and other stuff and working with actually reestablishing jurisdictions for um, North American continent and those things that had to be done and are done so that the military can operate within that jurisdiction and operate back on the land in which they were considered at sea just like everyone else, and not allowed to come back and operate within the land jurisdiction, has changed. And also, whenever you have the Supreme Court making the ruling specifically that when there are certain um, laws that need to be upheld, that the executive branch can actually or must use the regular military first to actually perform that before bringing in the National Guard, actually means specifically that the regular military, the actual military, will be operating on the streets of America lawfully.
Captain, okay, here's another one from Blissfully. It's a good one. This is Captain. Will the awakened souls feel the pain, fear of the events as much as the unawakened?
Yes, they will, but you should be able to handle them in a more prepared manner. It should not completely catch you guys off guard, no matter how difficult it gets. It should be just that, yeah, it's really fucked up, excuse my French, but that's really it. And I wasn't expecting to see that. But there it is. Doesn't catch me, wasn't expecting it, but I wasn't not expecting it either.
All right. Do you have time for two more questions? I know we're right there around the
Yeah.
10-minute mark.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Trump train, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted.
Hey, Jenny and Brother Kyle.
Hey,
Got a question for you, brother. I entered a lease 6 years ago with my wife. I call her my wife. That passed away, and in Georgia, we were married or not married, but in there for 8 years. Okay, that's common law. Okay, we moved here to Maryland, and Maryland gave me hell going through the burial and everything else with her. So uh, I'm renting, and she was on the lease as well. Is what do I need to do, or is there something that I can do to I don't know, delay? They gonna kick me out or what? I don't know, brother. I'm I had health issues as well as you, and mine were like bam bam, and then hers was bam on top of mine. So it's hit me all at once, and God is in control. But if you could give me some shed of light as to what I can do, I would have really appreciate that, brother. I love you.
I love you too. And
So saying, we love you too.
so I would need to know a little bit more about the actual details of circumstances and situation. Um, but there's always something that can be done. And in the aspect of common law and marriage and common law marriage, that is in the eyes of the court, in the court's eyes, you are actually married. Just because you didn't go through the legal documentation for the system doesn't get you necessarily out of it. Trust me. When I was in my teenage year or early 20s, I had a girl that actually did that with me and basically took my BMW and everything else because she basically said the same thing. We were married, half is hers, and blah blah blah. And the court sided with her, and I lost it, all that stuff. So I learned a lesson about how the courts actually view that. Um, Back in, golly, that was like the 90s, early 90s. And so I would say, with what I know right now, with your situation, is that yes, you were considered married even without the actual marriage certificate. Anytime you claim marriage, sign as husband and wife, joint bank accounts, things where you've commingled things, joint leases, um, those are all established relationships that in the court's eyes are an established relationship.
Well, thank you, because I did get a letter from, it wasn't from Maryland. It came from Alabama. And I'm like, what in the world? Social Security, because I'm trying to get that last benefits for her to be given to me because I had to dispose of her. So, yep. And it's just weird that Alabama, it went from Maryland to Alabama. And I'm like, I think Alabama follows Georgia laws as well. But, and they sent me a document that I've got to have signed off on and have
Notarized.
notarized. Yep, brother. Yep. You know where
Yeah.
I'm going. Yep.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to cut it short. And I love you, brother. And I love you, Jenny. I love you guys. I love you all.
We
Love
love
you
you
too.
too, Trump Train.
Follow the
Thank you
process
for
that
being
they're putting out there for you, okay?
Thank you, Captain. All right. Last question for you, Captain.
Yeah.
Barbara Rainey, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Go ahead, Barb. Randy, I hope I said your last name right. Go ahead, Barb. Your mic is unmuted. Going once, going twice, hit the blue button in the middle of your screen. All right, no answer there, Captain. So, Captain, are we doing this every month now? Or are you able to come on a little more often?
Just get back with me, and I'll let you know how things are in like 2 weeks or so.
Okay, sounds good. So you heard it from Captain Kyle, everybody. We're going to touch base in the background. We'll get him rescheduled. It's typically right now been about once a month, but if we can get him on more often, obviously, according to his schedule, we will. And then Juan, I'm trying to get him back on. I did speak to him afterwards. He was having trouble getting into Rumble. So we're going to try to get him rescheduled for Friday. So watch for that, everybody. God bless you. Thank you, Captain. It was good to hear you, and glad you're doing well. And we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. And like I said, you can confirm that Juan is and will be speaking in the same vein that I have been speaking for some time. So
yeah, you guys are absolutely parallel for sure. You guys are saying the same thing, and I've been pointing that out to a lot of people. One thing here, real quickly, I want to say to the audience, and I would love your opinion on it. I was going to ask Juan about it. He is being more out there with his being able to show his face. So to me, that says to me that we're getting closer to the end if he's coming out feeling more comfortable doing that. Because before he was like, oh no. But what are your thoughts on that, Captain?
yes, and as well that he has been more specific on what's actually about to happen versus just being the story guy.
He's being more direct, just like Donald Trump, everybody. That's why I say listen to Donald Trump. And yes, Juan is being more kind of to the point than my captain says, the story guy. So get excited, everybody. Stay out of that fear, stay out of that noise, and I'll keep you posted on Juan's show. And God bless you, Captain. Love you. And
Love you
I'll touch
guys.
base with you and get you back on the show. Take care.
Absolutely. All right.
Peace, Captain. Bye, everybody. Have a great night.